Guys, would you look at this Maison Francis Kurkdjian box? This Baccarat Rouge 540 box, look at that, it's pristine. I got you. That's a clone. That's not even the real thing. And today, that's what we're talking about. 10 different hidden gem clone fragrances. The type of clones that don't get all the hype. You know what I'm talking about. Camra. Should be called Hypra. Detour na Hype. Clubbed in a Hype Man. All those ones. We've got fragrances today that are not quite on that level in terms of hype. But these ones are pretty much just as good as any of those big dogs out there. Sometimes better. A little bit ago, I did one of these videos with 15. Today, we have just 10. All of these clones are linked in the description. Feel free to check them out down there. And feel free to check out these codes. These are not clone codes. Except for Triple Traders, they sell clones there. So that discount code is like a discount clone code, clone discount code. Whatever. Code for lucky scent change in Gents 10 in October. So 2023 Gents no longer works. If it's October and you're trying that code out, it's not working. Sorry. Because in the future, the code's probably changed again because they change it on me like every 2 months, man. That's not my doing. That's their doing, okay? Take it up with them. No particular order today. Let's jump into it. The first one is from Armaf, and look at this beauty. Well, some people will think it's beautiful. Caballo. Look at that majestic horse on the front. What a majestic animal. Tony Soprano would really like that. He killed a dude once because he thought that he killed his horse. 1% of you out there actually watch Sopranos probably long enough to know what I'm even talking about.
You cooked that horse alive.
No, I did not. But so what?
So what?
It was a f***ing animal. Don't give me that look. It was a f***ing horse.
Anyway, Armaf Caballo. It's an interesting presentation. Armaf is known for interesting presentations. We'll say that much. It does have this pleather coating on the outside that has the horse picture. On the back it says Armaf Caballo, but it has these annoying zippers that you have to... And then you can slide your bottle out in case you just want it like that with no horsey thing. But we're gonna leave the horse on there. Armaf, yeah. These zippers are awful. There we go. But the horse pleather coating coat thing, jacket, is not the best part of the presentation. No, it's the cap, because it's got magnets. And they're good ones too. Ooh. So I bought this fragrance, and at the time there was really not much information on it. Other than people saying, I'm pretty sure it's a clone of Galloway from Parfums de Marly, which makes sense. The horse on the front there ties it in with Parfums de Marly. It's in a white bottle like Galloway. Pretty safe bet, except it's completely wrong. It doesn't smell like Galloway at all. It actually smells like a mix of Bleu de Chanel and Bulgari's Tiger. So sort of a twist, but it actually smells very, very pleasant. Really versatile, the quality is good for the price point, and even though this bottle is kind of weird, it's not the worst that they've ever done. So I'm gonna give it a thumbs up for the packaging. And the fragrance too, fragrance is good too. Now one from Fragrance World, this one in a much plainer package. Minister of Oud, greatness. Not Ministry of Oud, this is the Minister of Oud. And it should be pretty obvious just with that name, Minister of Oud, greatness, what this is. This is a clone of Oud for greatness. I know, it's gotta take a big leap there to get from here to that. What? Minister of Oud greatness, Oud for greatness? How could those be related? Really well done. Very, very nice. Extremely close to Oud for greatness. As soon as you spray it on, you're gonna get that sort of pungently sweet Oud facet that Oud for greatness has. Good performance, which you would expect because it says right there it is an extrait de parfum. And even though the presentation is quite plain, I don't know, maybe I would take this over some of the other hideous looking bottles out there. There are a bunch of popular Oud for greatness clones out there, but this one just as good as the really hyped big ones. All right, next one is crazy stupid cheap. It's Victorioso Legend. This is from Maison Alhambra. And as you probably have guessed already, this is a clone of Invictus Legend. This is one that you can find for about $15. It is stupid cheap. Even amongst fragrance clones, it's cheap. And it is crazy close. Now I talked about Victorioso Victory on the last one of these that I did, and that one is just crazy, crazy close to Invictus Victory. So much so that if you sprayed it side by side, you go back and forth, the differences are minimal. And this is pretty much the same deal, only with Invictus Legend. And if you've been keeping up with Invictus Legend, you probably already know it's been getting harder to find. And at discounters, a 50 ml size bottle of Invictus Legend nowadays is going for close to $100, and that's at discounters. And oftentimes it's sold out at discounters. So to be able to get an alternative that's in a 100 ml size for 15 bucks, that is like 95% similar, is just crazy. So if you like Invictus Legend or the Invictus fragrances, check this one out. Another one from Maison Alhambra up next, and this one is also just about spot on. It is Exclusive Saffron. So this is a clone of Saffron Lazuli from Carolina Herrera, which is a fragrance that I own and really, really like. Unfortunately, it's also crazy expensive. I bought my bottle from Fragrance Buy, talking about the Herrera, and even then it was pricey, and it's not very often at discounters. FragranceNet, as of when I'm shooting this video, does have Saffron Lazuli, and you can get it for the low, low price of, I think, $240. So, yeah. I sprayed this one on side by side with the Herrera, like I did with the other fragrances here, and this is one of those clones that is just insanely, insanely close, especially when you consider the price discrepancy. So you get a lot of saffron in here, very sweet saffron. You get a tang from blackcurrant, just a little bit in there, adds a little complexity, makes it more interesting to smell off the top. As it dries down, you get floral notes that come out, leather as well. This line, from what I've tried from Maison Alhambra, absolutely crushes it. So if you're interested in the Herrera fragrances, but you want cheaper alternatives, check these out. So good. Another Maison Alhambra. Not all of these are Maison Alhambra, but I do have a few in here from the house. The next one is Afro Leather, which the name there's like not the greatest, I feel like. African leather, Afro leather. They do a pretty good job of being inspired by Memo Paris. Is that what we want to call it here? Inspired. We can call it that. Now, African leather is a love of mine. Now, African leather is a fragrance I love. Really, really enjoy it. The cardamom in there just smells amazing off the top. It's just the right balance of warm, sweet, and spicy. As it dries down, the vetiver mixing with leather is extremely well done. Compliment puller, very versatile, a lot to love about the scent. Afro leather, off the top, is not quite as smooth as African leather when you very first spray it on. And I truly mean in the first like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you can tell which one is which because the cardamom is much clearer. That, again, that sweet, kind of sexy spiciness comes through much better in African leather. Legitimately, about 2-3 minutes in, it balances out real quick. And then this one gets like 90% of the way there to African leather. And in the air, honestly, truth be told, most people are not gonna be able to tell the difference. And when I say most people, I mean pretty much everybody. So much so that when I was wearing this, when I was testing it out, I kept catching whiffs of it throughout the day, and I was just like, yep, that's African leather. And trust me, and I am extremely familiar with African leather. I've worn it a bunch. And I actually bought a few different African leather clones and tested them against each other. This was the best one. Let's go with another saffron fragrance here from Emir, Vibrant Sensual Saffron. So you can tell by looking at the bottle, this is a Byredo clone. I mean, the shape of the bottle and the cap kind of gives that away, doesn't it? Not magnetic though. Dang it. This is a clone of Byredo's Black Saffron, which if you've smelled that one, it's a little reminiscent of Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. And that's because while, yes, it's a saffron fragrance in the sense that there is a good amount of saffron in here, there's also raspberry and there's also a good amount of leather. And when you put those notes together, especially with the sweetness of the saffron mixing with the sweetness of the raspberry, it's gonna remind you of Tuscan Leather or any of those other fragrances that are kind of Tuscan leatherish in style. It does come across a little bit fresher and we'll say a little bit cleaner than Tuscan leather does though. And again, that's because it's not cloning Tuscan leather, it's cloning black saffron. Good performance on it. The quality is nice as well. With Emir and Paris Corner, it's kind of a mixed bag. Some of their clones are really good. Some of them are spot on, and then other clones that they do are not so great. This is one of the good ones. Back to fragrance world with Supreme L'Homme Eau de Parfum. Now they also have a clone of Extreme Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Extreme. This one is a clone of L'Homme Eau de Parfum. It's kind of right there on the name, Supreme L'Homme Eau de Parfum. I don't hate the design, if I'm honest. It's really simple, just a sticker on the back, and then you look through and it's just names of cities. Quebec. I guess maybe not names of cities. Let's see, Seoul, Rio de Janeiro, Manila, Tulsa getting a shout out. Portland, Montreal, see there's Montreal, but Quebec is way, I don't know. Lisbon, let's see, Tehran, Lima, Phoenix. Just a lot of random places. It's still kind of cool. Good atomizer. So yeah, it's supposed to be L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum, and it does have some of that cherry aspect, but not quite as pronounced as in the EDP. So to me, it's like L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum Light or something, you know, like a mix of the Eau de Toilette and the Eau de Parfum. Still really well done, and absolutely worth checking out if you do want an alternative to L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum. Then we have one from Arabiyat Prestige. I never know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hypnotic Amber. Now this one looks very different from everything else up here, and it is different kind of in how it's done as well. The quality here, really nice. Bottle, very heavy. Great atomizer. It is a sort of play on Creed's Aventus. It's not a direct clone of Creed's Aventus, but it does have Creed Aventus familiarities. To me, it almost smells like Creed Aventus if it were given like a boozy overhaul. Like Aventus if you added in rum or cognac or something like that, you know, to give it kind of a boozy sweetness. It's got that going on. And then as it dries down, instead of being more smoky, it has a focus on amber. So it ends up being kind of a warm and sweet take on Aventus as it dries down. Really, really well done. Good performance. Like I said, just overall solid package here. I do love a pressurized atomizer, especially on the clone fragrance. So I know that Aventus has been done to death, but this is kind of an interesting, unique take on Creed Aventus instead of being what's already out there and done to death. And actually thinking about that, a boozy Aventus could be a good idea. Something a little odd, Monocline 01 from Maison Alhambra. And would you look at that? The same cap, except one is gold and one is not. So you probably know what this is, right? Monocline 01. Eccentric Molecules. Yeah, it's an Eccentric Molecules Eccentric 01 clone. I guess it wouldn't make sense to clone Molecule 01 since it's just like iso gamma super and that's it. But maybe to some people that would be more interesting to them than just an Eccentric 01 clone. I don't know. Now I sprayed this on side by side with Eccentric 01. This does come across different from Eccentric 01, so it's not really a one-to-one clone like some of these others are. It's like a twist, we could call it. So Eccentric 01 is going to come across woodier, noticeably more woody. This is a little bit sweeter. So it's like an ambery take. We just did an ambery take before, but this is like an ambery take on Eccentric 01. So you take that sort of fuzzy woodiness from Eccentric 01, you dial that down, pump up the sweetness a bit. That's what you got here. Last but not least, we have one from Milestone Perfumes from their Royal Collection, and it is called X-Men. I guess Avengers was taken, but X-Men, which is obviously a clone of Clive Christian X, hence the name X-Men. They're not talking about Wolverine and all them boys. I love how on the front here it says, be loyal for being royal underneath Royal Collection. Right. Also the badge code is really weird on the bottom, but hey, whatever. Very heavy. Yeah, it's got a lot of heft to it. Cap as well. Atomizer is great. And frankly, I mean, for the price point, it's really good. Gonna get you quite close to X, which is one of the more popular fragrances for men from Clive Christian. Very classy, spicy, and woody. I've got the original X and a flanker, the Sichuan pepper flanker. And for the price point, I'd say right now this is probably your best alternative to X. It's gonna give it to you. So there we go, these 10 you need to know about. These are not hype monsters, and no, a lot of these are not going to appeal to as wide a swath as something like an Angel Share clone. But still yet, all of these have very good quality. Some of them are absurdly close to what they're cloning, like these two here and some of the others, and some of these are great twists, but all of these worth checking out. So there we go, thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.